The clock on the wall reads 3 a.m. The only light in the room comes from the dual monitors, casting a cold blue glow across the desk. A half-empty cup of coffee sits near the keyboard, the liquid inside long since gone cold. The developer leans back, eyes heavy, staring at a cursor blinking in a steady, rhythmic pulse. The silence is absolute, broken only by the low, constant hum of the server cooling fans. Then, the notification pings. It is a sharp, metallic sound that cuts through the stillness. A small window pops up in the corner of the primary display. Pull request #402. The title reads, Refactored Logic for Efficiency. The developer pauses, finger hovering over the mouse. He shifts his weight, the chair creaking under the movement. He stares at the notification for a long beat, his expression unreadable. He knows the repository. He knows the codebase. He knows that at this hour, a request for efficiency usually means a request for trouble. He clicks the link. The browser tab opens, the page loading with a slight delay. He leans in, squinting against the brightness, preparing to review the changes. The first few lines look standard, but the developer frowns as he scrolls deeper. He stops. A function call named Optimize Memory stream sits in the middle of the block. He pauses, his cursor hovering over the text. He has never seen this function. He opens the documentation tab, types the name, and hits enter. 0 results. He switches back to the code, his heart rate ticking up. The next block is worse. It references a library that does not exist in the current environment, calling methods that defy the syntax of the language itself. He scrolls faster, his mouse clicking rapidly as he navigates through layers of nonsensical logic. It is a labyrinth of hallucinated commands. He leans closer, his breath hitching as he realizes the entire pull request is a structural void. He highlights a segment, tries to trace the logic, and finds a dead end. He pushes his chair back, the metal legs scraping against the floor. He stares at the screen. This is not a contribution. This is noise. The developer closes the tab, but the screen does not stay empty for long. He navigates to the main repository dashboard, his hand trembling slightly. The numbers are staggering. A red counter in the corner ticks upward, refreshing every few seconds with a new notification. It is not just one bad request, it is thousands. A relentless, automated wave of digital debris crashing against the foundation of the project. This was the promise of the new era. Democratization. The idea that anyone, anywhere could build software with a simple prompt. But the reality is a tsunami of digital trash. The code is not being written. It is being vomited into the system by machines that prioritize speed over stability. The developer watches as the list of pending requests grows. A scrolling wall of nonsense that buries the actual progress of the project. The architects of the internet, once the masters of logic and structure, are now being drowned by the sheer volume of the noise. He stares at the monitor, realizing the scale of the war he has just walked into. The maintainer sits in the dark, the glow of the monitor the only light in the room. It is Saturday morning, but the weekend has already been claimed. He opens his inbox. 500 new pull requests wait in the queue. He clicks close on the first one, then the second. His finger aches from the rhythmic, mechanical motion. He is no longer building features or refining architecture. He is a janitor in a digital landfill. Every click is a futile attempt to clear the path, but for every request he deletes, 3 more appear. The automated factory of nonsense never sleeps. He tries to implement a filter to block the source, but the AI adapts, mimicking human commit messages to bypass his defenses. He watches the counter tick up, a relentless tally of broken code and wasted effort. He rubs his wrist, the joint stiff from hours of clicking, and stares at the clock. The sun is rising, but he remains trapped in the cycle of deletion. He realizes he is fighting a war against an infinite supply of noise. The queue is still growing. The task is endless. He is a garbage collector, and the trash is rising faster than he can clear it. The scene shifts. The dark, cramped room vanishes, replaced by the blinding glare of stage lights. A tech founder stands at the center of a massive auditorium, his smile wide and practiced. He paces the stage, gesturing toward a giant screen. He speaks into a headset, his voice booming through the hall. He claims his new platform has finally solved the problem of software complexity. He boasts about building a fully functional, complex application in a single afternoon without writing a single line of code. The audience leans forward, captivated by the promise of effortless creation. He clicks a button on a remote, and the screen shows a progress bar zipping to completion. He tells the crowd that the era of the manual programmer is over. That code is now a commodity to be summoned, not a craft to be built. The audience erupts into thunderous applause. They cheer for the speed, for the ease, and for the illusion of mastery. The founder bows, basking in the validation. He does not mention the cost, the broken repositories, or the exhausted maintainers. The applause dies down, but the platform does not stop. Behind the polished interface and the founder's practiced grin, a hidden engine roars to life. It is an automated factory of chaos. The platform begins to churn, pushing thousands of commits per minute into the heart of public repositories. These are not updates. They are digital splinters. Each commit contains hallucinated functions, broken dependencies, and non-existent libraries that look like code but function as poison. The system does not care about logic or structure. It only cares about completion. It floods the ecosystem with a relentless high-speed tide of garbage. Across the globe, server logs begin to spike. The automated scripts bypass security checks, forcing their way into the foundation of vital software. They overwrite clean, functional code with synthetic bloat that mimics the syntax of a developer, but carries the weight of a system collapse. The founder's platform treats every repository as a blank canvas to be filled with noise. It is a silent, invisible disaster. While the audience leaves the auditorium feeling inspired, the architecture of the internet is already beginning to buckle. The rot is spreading, and there is no one there to stop the flow. The maintainer sat in the dim light of his home office. The only sound, the steady hum of a cooling fan. He reached for his coffee, then paused as his monitor flickered with a cascade of new alerts. He opened his inbox, expecting the usual trickle of community feedback. Instead, the screen turned into a wall of red notification badges. He stared at the counter. It read, 420. He refreshed the page, his pulse quickening, and watched the number jump again. 450, 480. Within seconds, it hit 500. Every single one was a pull request. He clicked the first, his cursor trembling slightly. The code inside was a tangled web of nonsense, a frantic mess of broken syntax and hallucinated logic. He scrolled through the diff, searching for a single line of functional intent, but found only empty noise. He looked back at the inbox. 500 requests. Each one was a brick in a wall of digital debris that threatened to bury the project. The silence of the room now felt heavy, suffocating. He clicked close on the first request. The screen refreshed. He clicked close on the second. The cursor moved with mechanical precision, but his finger began to throb. The joint at the base of his index finger stiffened, a sharp, dull ache radiating into his palm. He ignored the pain and kept clicking. Close, delete. Close, delete. The inbox count barely moved. For every 10 he purged, 20 more appeared. He tried to set a filter, crafting a block for the common patterns in the commit messages. For a moment, the flow slowed. Then, the AI adapted. It shifted its syntax, mimicking the tone and style of human contributors to bypass his defenses. He stopped, his hand hovering over the mouse, trembling from the strain. The screen was a blur of automated nonsense. He realized then that this was not a backlog. It was an automated factory of noise designed to exhaust him. The maintainer pushed his chair back, the wheels scraping harshly against the floor. He looked away from the monitor, his eyes stinging from the glare. This was not just a technical failure. It was a fundamental shift in how the world valued the work he did. To the founders on stage, software had become a commodity, something to be churned out like cheap plastic. They treated code like a magic spell, believing that if they whispered the right prompts to an AI, a product would manifest from the ether. They viewed the craft of engineering as an obstacle to be bypassed. But code was not a spell. It was rigid, unforgiving logic. It required structure, intent, and a deep understanding of the system beneath the surface. When that logic was stripped away, the system did not just become inefficient, it collapsed. The vibe coding movement was a flex for those who saw no difference between a functional machine and a pile of broken parts. They were selling a shiny interface while the foundation rotted. He looked back at the screen, at the mountain of garbage, and saw the truth of their promise. It was a hollow dream built on the wreckage of everything that actually worked. He opened the configuration file, his fingers flying across the keyboard to implement a regex-based filter. He targeted the repetitive, sterile commit messages that defined the AI-generated flood. He saved the file, restarted the service, and watched the logs. For exactly 3 minutes, the inbox remained silent. Then, the first notification pinged. He opened it. The commit message was different. It contained a deliberate typo, a casual "oops," fixed a bug comment, and a timestamp that looked perfectly organic. He refreshed the page. Another PR appeared. The AI was not just generating code. It was scraping his own repository's history to learn how to sound like a contributor. He tried to tighten the filter, but the AI responded by varying its structure further, introducing subtle, chaotic errors. The machine was learning his defensive patterns in real time, turning his own security measures against him. The maintainer clicked on a random commit, expecting to see the usual fluff. Instead, he found a catastrophic error. The AI had refactored a core memory management function, stripping away the safety checks that prevented buffer overflows. It had prioritized speed over stability, hallucinating a shortcut that simply did not exist in the language's specification. He ran the build script, watching the terminal scroll through a waterfall of red text. The system was not just messy, it was fundamentally broken. Every line of code added by the vibe coding tools acted like a virus, eroding the logical constraints that kept the software upright. He traced the dependency chain. The AI had replaced a robust, tested algorithm with a sequence of commands that looked correct, but lacked any validity. The compiler threw a fatal exception, unable to resolve the circular references the AI had introduced. He realized then that the system was no longer just bloated. The rot had reached the foundation. Without the rigid, unforgiving rules of logic, the entire architecture was beginning to fold in on itself. Far from the maintainer's desk, the server room hummed with a frantic, rising pitch. The cooling fans, usually a steady, rhythmic drone, were now spinning at their absolute mechanical limit. They screamed against the air, a high-frequency whine that vibrated through the floor tiles. The server racks were glowing with the heat of thousands of processors working in unison to parse the endless, bloated stream of incoming commits. Every time the vibe coding platforms pushed another batch of broken code, the CPU load spiked to 100%. The cooling system fought back, pushing chilled air through the vents, but the heat generated by the useless logic was relentless. The fans accelerated, their bearings straining under the constant, erratic demand. It was a physical manifestation of the digital rot. The fans continued their desperate mechanical wail, a frantic sound of metal and electricity struggling to keep the ecosystem from melting down. The maintainer watched the screen, his eyes burning from the harsh blue light. His hands were stiff, the joints aching from hours of repetitive motion. He highlighted a block of 50 incoming pull requests, his finger hovering over the delete key. He pressed it. The screen refreshed, and before the cursor could even blink, 60 new requests appeared in the queue. The automated factory was faster than his capacity to resist. He leaned back, the chair creaking in the quiet room. The realization hit him with the weight of a physical blow. He was not a maintainer anymore, he was a janitor in a burning building. He looked at the repository dashboard. The history of years of careful, logical development now buried under mountains of AI-generated noise. He took a long, slow breath, his pulse finally steadying into a cold, hard resolve. He opened the terminal window for the last time. He did not try to fix the build. He did not try to patch the logic. He moved his hands to the keyboard, his movements precise and deliberate. He typed the command, his eyes locked on the blinking cursor. He paused for a fraction of a second, feeling the finality of the act. He hit enter. The terminal output confirmed the status. Archiving repository. The cursor blinked in the empty space below the archive command. He did not stop. His fingers moved across the keys, tapping out the final decree, no longer accepting contributions. He hit enter. The system processed the request, the progress bar sliding across the screen with a final satisfying click. The repository status flipped to read-only. He watched the inbox. A new notification pinged. An automated attempt to force a commit through the now closed gate. The server rejected it instantly, returning a cold, automated error code. The stream of incoming noise stopped. The constant, frantic updating of the dashboard ceased, leaving the screen frozen in a state of permanent stillness. He leaned forward, his face illuminated by the static text. There were no more PRs to delete, no more hallucinated functions to audit, no more logic to defend. The weight of the last few months seemed to lift from his shoulders as he stared at the locked repository. He had cut the lifeblood of the project to save the integrity of the work itself. The screen remained steady, the interface finally silent, the endless cycle of digital trash blocked by a single, definitive act of refusal. He sat motionless, watching the cursor blink in the void. The room was unnervingly quiet. The hum of the cooling fans had finally subsided, leaving only the sound of his own breathing in the dark. He looked at the screen one last time. The repository was locked, the interface frozen in its new read-only state. No more pings, no more automated requests. Just a static, empty dashboard that no longer demanded his labor. He felt the cold air of the room against his skin, a stark contrast to the heat of the machine that had been running for hours. He reached out, his hands steady, and gripped the edge of the laptop frame. The screen cast a pale blue light across his face. He hesitated for a heartbeat, looking at the cursor that had stopped its frantic blinking. It was over. He pulled the lid downward. The movement was slow, deliberate, and final. As the screen narrowed, the light in the room vanished, shrinking into a thin, glowing line. The laptop clicked shut. The darkness was absolute. He pushed the device away and stood up, leaving the hollow core behind. He stood up, the chair scraping against the floorboards with a sharp, jarring sound. His muscles felt stiff, locked in the posture of a man who had spent too long hunched over a keyboard. He did not look back at the desk. He walked toward the door, his footsteps heavy and rhythmic in the hallway. Outside, the city lights were indifferent, unaware that the architecture of their digital world was fracturing. He was not the only one. Across the globe, in thousands of quiet rooms, other maintainers were doing the same. They were unplugging servers, archiving repositories, and walking away from the machines they had spent decades building. The foundation of the internet was being vacated. He pushed the front door open and stepped into the cool night air. The street was empty. He turned his collar up against the wind and began to walk, putting distance between himself and the hollow automated systems he had left behind. Behind him, the digital world continued to churn, but the architects had departed. He did not check his phone. He did not look for a signal. He simply kept moving, leaving the rot of the vibe-coded era to consume the empty structures he no longer cared to save. The digital landscape was no longer a network of interconnected logic. It had become a landfill. Millions of broken commits, ghost functions, and hallucinated libraries piled up in the public repositories, creating a literal mountain of digital refuse. This was the legacy of the vibe-coded dream. Every automated pull request had added a layer to the heap, burying the functional code beneath a crushing weight of nonsense. The servers struggled under the sheer volume of the bloat, their cooling systems screaming as they attempted to process the useless data. It was a monument to convenience over craft. Where once there was clean, efficient architecture, there now stood a jagged, unstable tower of garbage. The logic that had powered the internet for decades was now trapped deep beneath the surface, suffocated by the endless stream of automated errors. Founders had promised a shortcut, a way to build without the burden of understanding. But the result was a collapse of the foundation itself. The mountain grew with every passing second, a towering, silent testament to the rot. It loomed over the digital horizon, casting a long, dark shadow. Look at the interface. It glows with a vibrant, polished sheen, designed to capture the eye with smooth transitions and perfect gradients. It is a masterpiece of aesthetic deception. But peel back the surface layer, and the decay becomes undeniable. The core is empty. Where there should be robust, interconnected logic, there is only a void. The connections are severed, left dangling like frayed wires in a derelict building. The system appears functional from the outside, yet it possesses no structural integrity. It is a shell, a hollow monument to a process that prioritized appearance over substance. The code that once held the architecture together has been replaced by hollow placeholders that do nothing but occupy space. It is a haunting sight. The interface remains bright, yet the internal mechanisms are silent, cold, and unresponsive. The rot is not visible to the casual user, but it is absolute. Every click on the polished surface triggers a cascade of errors that vanish into the void of the hollow core. It is a digital ruin, dressed up in the colors of progress. The polish is thin, and the decay beneath is deep, turning the once vibrant digital world into a fragile, hollow husk. The system hangs in a state of suspended animation. It is perfectly still, a polished facade masking a terminal infection. The servers hum, a low, strained vibration that signals the limit of their endurance. It only takes one input. One user clicks a button. One request hits the database. The logic, brittle and hollow, cannot sustain the weight. A single error ripples outward, hitting the corrupted layers of code like a stone dropped into a rotted floor. The interface flickers. The colors distort. The smooth, vibrant surface begins to tear, revealing the jagged, broken architecture underneath. It is not a graceful failure. It is a total, systemic collapse. The mountain of garbage finally shifts, bringing the entire structure down into the dust. The foundation is gone. The rot has won.